What is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? I wish I could play some music right now, but afterwards I'm gonna post this video on YouTube and they're gonna be like, that's copyrighted. I'm gonna be like, man. So, as I'm waiting for others to be notified, woo, how is your Saturday going? Saturday? Day? Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about mental health, sports, and showing up for yourself. Yes! Like, normally I don't really follow what's trendy because I don't like to follow the trend. But I felt like it is really important because it keeps coming up with, in regards to sports and mental health. And for those who don't know me, I was in tennis for 28 years. And so mental health is a actual very serious problem in sports. It's a very serious problem because it's overlooked all the time as if, one, it's considered a weakness, two, you need to be able to battle through and push yourself, right? Whether that's physically, mentally, or emotionally, it's like, no, you got to push further. You got to push through this. You always got to push through, right? And that's actually not beneficial to yourself, and obviously physically, mentally, emotionally, and over time that can really hurt yourself, right? Can really hurt the person over time. The longevity of always pushing through something all the time, it's not beneficial. So the other thing with sports too is there's a lot of pressure. So whatever your first perception or opinion about mental health coming up, the first thing I'm going to say is, even including myself, we have no idea. We have no idea what that athlete is currently feeling or thinking at that time. And I think it's huge that these women and men are actually speaking their truth and showing up for themselves, right? They're honoring themselves and how they currently feel. Hello. I don't know how. Hi. I don't think I know you. I don't know. Tell me your name. Moam.and18. Yeah, so, yes. What I'm talking about is mental health in sports and how it's really easily overlooked. And, I can tell you, I'm good. How are you? Moam. Okay, cool. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with pronunciation. Please don't take it personal. Most people can't pronounce my name either, and I definitely don't take it personal. Yes, so mental health and sports. I can personally tell you from firsthand, I had gotten burnt out many times in my life playing competitively at the junior level, collegiately, and professionally. And, there's never any rest period in some of these sports. So it's really crucial to be able to recognize, and I think that is huge, of what happened in the Olympics, right, with the gymnastics and whatnot. I think it's amazing that she was actually able to be mature and say, like, I'm not in my best performance mentally right now. And I think it would be better, for you ladies to go ahead and perform, right? And every athlete knows like that is probably the hardest thing to do, because you've been working your ass off. You've been working your ass off for so long and so hard to get to, whether it's the tournament or a game or a championship, right? And you want to perform. So her being able to recognize that, hey, I'm not in the right headspace to give my best performance. And right, the Olympics only comes around like every 4 years. So it's not like in other sports where, especially in tennis in my case, where it happens all the time. So like if you pull out, like no biggie, you're going to have another tournament, right? So I found it really interesting in some of people's perspectives of like, this is really considered a weakness or even a strategy. Okay, even if it was considered a strategy, like her mental health should come first, right? So that just doesn't make sense to me. And really, I think at the end of the day is like, how can you show up for yourself and honor yourself of how you're currently mentally, emotionally, and physically and spiritually feeling, right? Because we live in such a society to constantly push through, and that being gentle on yourself is a so-called weakness, right? So it's time to break that stigma, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, because it's something I personally have had to work through, right? To break that stigma and actually give myself time. Hey Rob, how's it going? And, I think in athletes, we're so brainwashed to and conditioned to always push, always persevere, always push, and always persevere, that it can actually cause an injury. And it can cause a decrease in your performance, not even like a short period, but a long-term period when you're not feeling safe and secure within yourself and being able to perform. So showing up for yourself can look in a lot of different ways, and there's so much pressure on athletes, especially when you're at the top of your game, right? Like everyone is looking at you. Everyone is expecting from you to perform. And for someone to say like, hey, I need you to actually take over because I'm not going to be able to be in my best performance, or I need a timeout, that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of vulnerability. It takes a lot of maturity to be able to make that call. And I think it's time for us to start to view this as a really important factor into our sports. And especially starting at a younger age, because when I was, which I no longer am, when I was coaching in tennis, it is a major problem. Burnout is a major problem, especially with girls too, and eating disorders of trying to look a certain way. It's like at the highest. I definitely also, when I was playing in college, I had a teammate who had an eating disorder. So it's a major problem in teenage sports, and for guys too. It's just maybe look a little bit different. And so I think it's time that we start teaching at a younger age certain coping mechanisms to not always push through, that there are other ways. Like I remember too, a big thing in tennis, it's so funny, is like if you're not on the court, you're not getting anything done, right? It's like, especially this is kids and parents at times, right? Both. Like it's, if you're not physically doing something on the court, like you're not getting stuff done. So I always found it really interesting whenever it rained, right? Because with tennis, you can't play when it rains, that like half of the kids wouldn't show up. And it's like, that's actually what you need more work on, is off the court stuff than always on the court. And that includes mental and emotional, obviously sports, very tactical as well, and strategy. But most of the time, these kids need more mental tools and emotional tools. So to be able to start to recognize that and incorporate it is really huge. And, you know, that can look like a lot of different ways for different people, whether it is going to therapy, whether it is a psychologist, maybe it's a certain like motivation or talk, maybe like myself including more of the spiritual aspect, because we are mind, body, spirit, we are a soul, and having and feeling a bigger picture to what you're actually doing, so you don't get lost in the process of always trying to compete and you lose the fun of it, right? Because that's what happens. You lose the fun of competing, and you have all these pressures and expectations all the time. So the fun gets lost. So I think it's really important, you know, to keep it fun, to keep it silly. That's why I like dancing in my videos, right? Like, to keep it flowing and to keep it silly is like really important in changing it up. Now, that's, you know, obviously I'm talking specific to sports, but you can also include that in other areas of your life. And, you know, there's such a demand on kids today to either like be the best student, right? Or to have the cutest dress, or to have those muscular muscles, right? Whatever it may be, there's all these constant pressures all the time. So learning certain coping mechanisms is huge. Like I know there's different times that you know, my parents definitely did help me, but I never really found someone that I felt comfortable enough to talk to. And that's also really, really key and important, is being comfortable and feeling safe with the person that you're talking to is huge. Yeah. So, anyways, if I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. I also would love to hear if you actually start to incorporate some of these things into your own program, especially in the sports scene. I think it is crucial. Like, imagine kids starting to meditate and visualizing before they go into the match. How much would that decrease their pressure? Because they're starting to trust themselves, right? And parents actually being open to that, and kids being open to that process. And it can start at any age. It doesn't matter. Like, it's never too late to start, but just incorporating that, or even before a test, right? Or before a project, you meditate and you visualize to help reduce that pressure. So when the game is on, you are ready to perform. You have that trust. You have that confidence in yourself. All right, guys, so this was just kind of like a little bit free-flowing conversation. Well, hopefully a conversation for those who, you know, do want to talk about it. I am definitely open and always love to hear other people's perspectives. Like, I truly do. I find consciousness fascinating. It's really fascinating to me in whatever area you are in your life. It's our perspectives are so important with our experiences. So whatever you're experiencing right now is so important, and that gets filtered through our thoughts. So yeah, I'd love to chat with you on any of these topics. If you feel called to do a meditation, there's a lot of free stuff. I also have my R&R meditation on sale. The sale's ending in August. And I also offer spiritual life coaching. So not only if you have potentially a kid who's in sports and you're looking for that X factor, looking for that confidence, and actually having the bigger picture, which is what spirituality ultimately is. And that is what personally always helped me in my sports is that I knew whatever I was moving through at that time, like there was always something more to learn. There was always something bigger for me. And that's where spirituality really allows you to incorporate that in your life. All right, guys, so I hope you have a grateful day and, of course, enjoy the moment. Much love.